Let's get our app project started in Xcode. Go down to your dock and click on the Xcode icon to get the app started. You'll see this pop-up menu on your screen. Go ahead and tap on Create a new Xcode project. Let's make sure that our settings are correct before we move on. You should have iOS selected for the type of app that we're creating and app selected for the type of application. Then click on the Next button. Go ahead and type in your app name. So we're going to create the photo frame app. So let's type photo frame with no spaces. Skip over team for right now. And for your organization identifier, let's put in kind of a reverse website. So we'll start with COM, then a period, and then your last name. Since we're not going to upload this app to the actual App Store, it doesn't really matter what we put here, but let's just do this for good practice. So start with COM, then a period, and your last name. Underneath that, you'll notice that Xcode puts all of that information together, your last name, and then the product name or app name. This bundle identifier identifies the app and all of the app files that might eventually be uploaded to the App Store if you wanted to do that. For the app that we're going to build today, it's really important that we have Storyboard selected as the interface of the app and Swift identified as the language for our app. Leave these bottom two options unchecked. Then click on the Next button. Now let's choose a place to save our app files. In your Documents folder, you probably already have a folder where you've been saving your playgrounds. Let's put our app files in the same place. So in your Documents folder, you probably have a folder called something like Xcode Projects. Go ahead and put your app in the same folder that we've already been using. For now, you can check or uncheck this source control box here at the bottom. Either way is okay. And then click on the Create button. This is what Xcode looks like when it opens. For right now, we're not going to worry about all of these panels and buttons. Let's just get to know the basic areas of Xcode. As you're looking at Xcode, over on the left side, you have the Navigator panel. Here you can see the different files that are part of your app. So you've got a folder containing all of your files. You have Swift files that have this little Swift bird in front of them that contain programming and code for your app. You have your main storyboard file where you can design your user interface of how your app will look on the device. You've got the assets catalog where you can upload photos and images and app icons and other things, and a few other buttons. At the top of the Navigator panel, you'll see these different navigators that are available. As you hover your cursor or your mouse over each one of them, you can see what each of these navigators is called. For now, we're just going to stay on this first one, which is the Project Navigator, which looks like this little file folder that contains all the files in our app. Across the top, you have your toolbar where you can see the status of what's happening in your app, and you can also see your device. So let's go ahead and click on this device where it says iPhone 14 Pro, and you can change this. Yours might not say iPhone 14 Pro to start with, but let's pick an iPhone device from one of these options that are available for you to run the simulator. This will allow you to show your program running on an iPhone on the screen. I'm going to leave mine selected as iPhone 14 Pro. Up here in the toolbar, we also have our object library, which is this plus right here, where we can find things that we want to add to our app. In the middle, we have our editor space, which will change depending upon what we're clicking on in the navigator. So if we're clicking on a Swift file, we'll see Swift code. If we're clicking on a storyboard, we'll see a storyboard where we can design the interface of our app on the device that we want to test it on. Over on the right side, we have our inspector panel. What we see on the inspector panel, again, is determined by what we're clicking on or what we have selected in the editor in the middle. And here we have all sorts of different inspectors that we can use to change and adjust the settings, again, of whatever we have selected. At the bottom, we want to select the same device that we selected at the top. So for me, I have iPhone 14 Pro selected as my simulator device. I need to click down here on the bottom and select the same device down here at the bottom so that I see that correct image here on my storyboard or in my interface builder here in the editor to be able to build the interface of my app. So make sure your device at the bottom matches the device you have at the top for the simulator. What you have selected at the bottom controls what you see on the screen. What you have selected at the top controls your simulator. To run the simulator, you'll click on this play or start button over here in the toolbar to run the simulator. When you first start the simulator, it might take a minute or two where it seems like nothing's happening. So you just need to be patient until that appears. Here you can see what your app looks like on that device that you chose. For me, the iPhone 14 Pro. So there, we build our first app. It's a blank white screen, not very impressive, but we made an app without actually doing anything yet. All right, let's go ahead and click on the stop button here to stop building and running our app on the simulator. We won't quit the simulator though, we'll just leave it running in the background. That way we won't have to wait as long for it to start up the next time that we want to test our code. If you ever feel like you need more space on your screen when you're designing your screen and the storyboard or when you are writing code in the view controller, you can adjust the navigator panel and the inspector panel to give yourself more space in the editor. To do this, just click on this icon at the top to hide or show the navigator. So if I want to close this left panel, I just click on this little button and it closes that panel and gives me more space here in the editor in the middle. I can reopen that by clicking on the button again to bring back my navigator panel. Same thing for the inspector panel over on the right side. If I need more space, I can click on this button to hide the inspector panel. And when I'm ready to use the inspector again, I can click on that button to bring that inspector panel back again.